Welcome to Exit Algorithms, the podcast where we decode what it really takes to unlock growth, streamline operations, and prepare your business for a high-value exit. I'm your host, Pete Vera. Today, Dr. Justin Brown is in the building. He's a
Hey, Pete.
chiropractor turned serial entrepreneur, owner of Friends and Family Spinal Care, CEO of Serve Bigger Collective, and co-founder of iHelp Moms, an on-demand parenting platform connecting experts to parents globally. Justin, so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Pete, this is awesome. I'm glad to talk about building businesses that matter and how to build value in those businesses and ultimately how to exit those businesses to certainly make a lot of money and also make a huge impact and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely, Justin. I'm really excited to have you in particular with your background. I don't meet a lot of, well, you'll be my first doctor on the show, so
Awesome.
congratulations. But I think it's not all that common for people in the medical field to have such a entrepreneurial itch like you have. I'd love to share, if you don't mind, can you share
Yeah.
a bit about your background and your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a family of business owners, a couple generations of business owners, and kind of just scrappy, hungry people, and so I think our dinner table conversations were probably a little bit different than the average. And I also happen to have this kind of passion for science and for hands-on healthcare, and found chiropractic through uh, it helping me in my experience, getting back on the field as a soccer player, and then ultimately regaining my energy. I had suffered with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I found this unique type of care called upper cervical chiropractic care. And so that was kind of that marriage of business acumen slash entrepreneurial spirit kind of combined with the healing arts and healthcare and chiropractic. So they kind of came together, and which uniquely kind of positions us where we're at right now.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Wow, okay, so it was started your journey, or at least into the chiropractic niche was a trauma event, it sounds like, which shocker was soccer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just collided with one of my best friends, really, and his head smashed into my chin and ended up with blood all over my shirt, and I got my chin stitched together. So that was like the first thing. I was like, okay, ended up, getting stitched up and all of that, but I never really had any problems that I knew of otherwise with my health. But there was definitely a trauma. There's a whiplash that happened inside that because he kind of came up from underneath, almost as like if you imagine, like an uppercut to the chin. So my head snapped back, my neck whipped back, and I had an injury to my upper neck, but I didn't really feel it, right, for a long time. And so the doctors who I had seen at that time didn't have training to really check my alignment of my neck or to
Hmm.
look at my nervous system. It was more of, well, you're not bleeding anymore and you don't pain, so you're fine, right? And so years passed on, and I started dealing with severe fatigue issues. Fall asleep through the day, like multiple times through the day, scared to drive at night out of fear of falling asleep at the wheel. And ultimately, I fell asleep at the wheel. But these
Wow.
were really all of the things that led me to find this unique type of chiropractic care called upper cervical. Of the 75,000 chiropractors, about 3,000 in the world practice this style. And
Hmm.
so it's not very well known. Um, and so but I found the help with this because it was this really scientific based system of measurement and very specific, gentle scientific alignment. And then the series of measurements that happened throughout my care that really were able to clear out that stress to my upper neck and really open my nervous system. So I was able to, feel normal. Like my body could heal actually, and I could get deep, restful
Hmm.
sleep for the first time in a long time. And so ultimately, that was my journey to kind of finding this and saying, okay, well, this is clearly my calling. And that's really what I've done for the last 20, really ever since I've graduated. So yeah, it's been 20 years, and We started out in Seattle, Washington, practicing underneath a really top-notch doctor and got a lot of great training. And then set up my practice here in South Florida, which is where our headquarters are. And we have since trained right around 35 chiropractors in our headquarters. And we were sending a lot of those chiropractors out to kind of start their own practices, and that was great. And then we ultimately reworked our system to really take care of our people. And I think that's one of the things that oftentimes business owners don't do is they'll grow these people underneath of them, but then they don't necessarily grow them in a way that they feel taken care of to the sense where they're like, well, why would I even leave? Because I
Mm.
can actually be taken care of better as a intrapreneur, like working inside underneath this umbrella without the risk. So mitigating risk, maximizing upside. And so people do find that out. They'll leave and try to go do it on their own, and they may do it, but they might go, gosh, I kind of liked it better the way it used to be, right? And
Uh,
so I know as you're a business owner and you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, yep, I remember this guy. I remember this great sales guy. He did awesome with us. He made great money. He had all the flexibility in their schedule, but tried to go recreate it and for one reason or another wasn't able to do it. I mean, we all know those stories. So we got smarter about our comp structure and really kind of figuring out how to take care of people. And since that time, we've acquired we actually acquired a couple offices, started a de novo office, like a new office, sold those back in 22. And then
mhm.
we ended up in the last 10 months, we've acquired three offices and we, have plans to acquire another 30 here in the next 5 years.
Nice. Yeah, wow. Exciting. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, I love to hear the origin story because I feel like that's really important to, having a long impact. You first experienced it changed your life for the better, and now you get to do that to, thousands of people. I love that.
Yeah, and that was the hard part for me, really kind of stepping up as a CEO. I only have 4 hours of patient care anymore now, Pete. So it's like, okay, I had to really get clear in my head. I can help a lot more people by not putting my hands on people. And that was
Mm.
challenging, right? Like I know E-Myth talks about that, right?
Hmm.
But I don't know if you've ever, read E-Myth Revisited, but it's like, listen, you can be great at baking pies and you can have the best pies in town, but if you want to, spread your pies across the US, you got to get out of the kitchen. And that's really, where we've made that transition. And so I'm able to really support the doctors that are in our organization. We have 15 doctors currently in the organization. So a lot of my time is supporting them, and the other pretty much 50% of my time is in acquisitions and deal flow and that piece. Yeah, it's definitely a transition that people have to go through from being the person that's doing all the marketing, doing all the sales, doing all
Yeah.
of the actual providing of the service, right? All those pieces to stepping up in a way and rising kind of above that day to day and really leading, right? So what I
Yeah.
realized is I had to really up level my leadership skills in order to be able to get to that point because I was just used to doing it, right? A lot of us
Mm.
that are business owners, we're just super highly effective at getting it done. We can just go
Yeah.
and by sheer force, we can just make it happen, but that's unscalable. And so, by really getting better at leading and taking care of people and working with people, we've been able to then kind of get to where we're at now. And that's with a holdco, like we have a holding company overseeing, essentially managing shares, and then we've got our MSO, which is like a managed service organization, which is where we have our CMO, our CFO, our controller, and a few others that allow to service the entities. And then the
Okay.
entities are our operating companies, and the entities are the chiropractic offices that we're able to support them and grow them, and so it's good. And it's interesting because I just got back from HPE, which is Healthcare Private Equity. One of
Mm.
I think it's the biggest, from what I understand, down in Miami. It's one of really the McDermott puts it on, and McDermott did a great job. Really, they did a tremendous job putting this on. But they put all the private equity, investment bankers, family offices, kind of they put them together And then they bring businesses like me, and so we start to have these conversations. And one of the things they're interested in is like, what's your growth post acquisition, right? They
Mm.
want to know, do you have some secret sauce? Because if you just acquire, but you're not growing after acquisition, it's just almost taking on like more stress, more headaches, more people without more upside, right? And so they want to
Mm.
know, okay, like, do you have operational excellence? Do you have something unique or special about your company that is going to make it scalable and then also just essentially extremely valuable?
Yeah, got it. Oh, that's huge. I love that. Yeah, I'd actually like to go into that a little more since it's so top of mind for you. Do you mind sharing maybe start with the kind of the overall strategy for listeners that might not be super familiar with the nuances of EBITDA, arbitrage, growing through acquisition? I'd love to hear sort of your thesis behind your holding company and your overall strategy.
Yeah, so I mean, our industry is very fragmented, meaning that there's been very little kind of organization collectively. So it's a lot of uh, individual practice owners, a lot of people that are really good clinicians, people that are really, passionate, highly passionate, not necessarily super high level business acumen. And so, but there's just been lack of consolidation and organization. So it really creates this problem for doctors that they don't have transitional value, meaning they a lot of like most of these practices don't really sell. They ultimately they close the doors or they're passed on in the family, which is fine, right? That's obviously great for legacy, but that's the issue in this industry. And so people aren't getting good value. They're working for 25, 35, 55 years and they're getting really, really poor valuation, if anything at all. So most don't actually get sold, which is a problem. And I saw this happen with my own mentors. I saw this happen with a lot of different people. So it had been poorly demonstrated. And I'm sure there's other industries that have this similar scenario where that happens frequently. So ultimately I saw this problem and also realized like our product is really good and our presence is really poor. So
Mm.
we have really high quality product, highly effective, super safe, but the visibility and I would say the usage as a whole is relatively poor still. And
Mm.
yet there is this upswing of people that are super interested in health and wellness, that are interested in strategies that they can implement for their family to get well and stay well. You've seen obviously this kind of boom, post COVID boom, and people that are like almost turning their back to sort of the traditional medical model in a way and
Mm.
saying, ooh, I don't know that I can really trust the medical model anymore to give me the best information about my health, just kind of based on their experience of what they've gone through over the last decade. So people are now leaning more into strategies for natural health and wellness, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what we provide. So
Yeah.
that's really the essence of our product. But again, our presence, our market share is really poor. So you have this
Mm.
huge total addressable market, right? Our TAM is big, but our presence is small. So there's this huge gap. There's this opportunity,
Yeah.
right?
Love
And
it.
yet there's poor organization. So by getting organized, by coming together, we can professionalize the product, we can improve the delivery, we can maximize the delivery, we can improve our marketing, we have greater resources. And so the thesis is that we're stronger together.
Mm.
And that by coming together, our valuation goes from really small, really poor, or non-existent to really strong, really scalable, and really valuable.
Mm.
And so that's what's happening. Healthcare, private equity loves healthcare. Private equity loves predictable money models. Private equity likes fragmentation. So essentially, whether it's private equity or family office, which is probably more fitting for us, initially anyhow, that they really like this type of industry. They like this
Yeah.
business. They like seeing certainly retention and recurring revenue, which is really what our model is. So
Yeah.
they really like this type of business, but it does take professionalization. It does take organization. It certainly takes, high quality care. It takes great providers. It takes people that get it. So a lot of what I do is educate
Hmm.
because most people in my industry don't really understand this idea of enterprise value. They don't understand this idea of, taking a 1 or 2x multiple and taking that to 8 or 12, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing we can do in our business that's going to 8x our business like in the next 3 years. Like you're probably just not going to 8x your business, right? Like if you do awesome, you're going to have a lot of enterprise value. But if you can't do that, which is most industries that you just in all likelihood, you're not going to 8x your business organically.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to do so. So it's a great opportunity for our partners that come on board and they get access to enterprise value. And they don't have access to enterprise value without coming onto our platform. And so that's the secret sauce right there. And so I think there's a lot of business owners that still don't fully understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a crucial concept right there.
It's a crucial concept.
No, I love it. Yeah. So not only is it they're a huge opportunity in the marketplace for your customer, their clients, there's also a big opportunity for the owners as well of chiropractics, like in your niche, upper cervical, right?
Correct.
It,
Yes, exactly. So this is a huge opportunity for people in our niche to not only one be a part of something that's going to just improve our access and our presence in the marketplace, right? We're building the premium chiropractic brand, like hard stop. So we're building that. And then the other piece of it is that, uh, yeah, they're going to tap into some value that they just wouldn't otherwise have access to. And it's an exit pathway. So people don't have an exit plan. Nobody has an exit plan in my
mm,
industry. And there's probably a lot of industries like that. I don't know if people in the HVAC industry or in the logistics industry, do they have clear exit plans? I don't know. But a lot of people in my industry don't have an exit plan because they love doing what they do, right? People love doing what they do. It's extremely rewarding to do what we do. And so they kind of begrudgingly don't think of it. They sort of put their head in the sand and kind of think it's going to work out. And 80% of the time, it doesn't work out. Oh, this is a great pathway for people to be able to continue practicing because people stay with us. We don't, buy and kick them out. That's not the way it works. We acquire and we keep them on board and create a pathway forward for them to continue doing what they do and with optionality, and
mm,
it's good to have options, right? I always say it's really good to have options. It's good to make decisions out of inspiration versus desperation.
yeah.
So, we create some optionality, we create a pathway forward, we create the ability for people to continue to practice. So it's kind of unique in that sense that they're actually kind of getting multiple bites at the apple right out of the gate because they're getting the benefit of the acquisition, but they're getting the benefit of continued salary, continued upside, continued profit share, and then they also get this access to this exit valuation, which is just tremendously different than what you can receive as a solo practice in the marketplace.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's really a win-win for everybody. Um,
Patients also, right? Like it's a problem when you've got these patient base that really rely on that doctor. I mean, they become part of their life. They're part of their healthcare strategy. And if that practice closes, those people are left high and dry, and that's a problem. So we always say we put the patient at the forefront with patient-centric care, and then we're taking care of our providers, so our providers get taken care of, and then we also clearly are taking care of our shareholders. So the shareholders are taken care of. So it's a win for everybody around and so it makes sense.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and you prevent a bunch of layoffs, right? Employee layoffs. Like they've been working for at that uh facility for 20 plus years and then all of a sudden have to find a new job. It's just it's unnecessary, right? If you can provide an easy way out for the owner.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and then it just kind of goes out saying, there's economy of scale that come in, when we're able to actually, get together with, top marketing and put that together, it makes a lot more sense. And, you just got more buying power We don't have a very large cost of goods sold, like our COGS is super low, but essentially, it does allow for a community. It's a mastermind. So rather than us being in silos, having to try to make these business decisions where we're sort of throwing stuff at the wall or trying to get advice from this person and then go to this YouTube expert and then talk to this advisor and then go to AI, it's really like it's the meeting of the minds. It's this mastermind, which is kind of what we have at DMSWS. I mean, like we get that, right? We have a little bit of a community there, but that's what we get as far as in Serve Bigger is that we have these calls and we're able to share ideas and share best practices and work through challenges together. We're just by and large, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to have more effectiveness when you've got a community. I mean, we're literally doubling practices within six
Wow.
months. So it's pretty wild. I mean, not every practice is doubled, but a couple of them have post acquisition. So people are having more fun. I'm a big proponent of team sports. I played sports, love sports, and it's just more fun to do things together. And we've got diversification. If something happens in one city, another city can kind of pick up. You know what I mean? And it's like if I'm not draining three pointers that day, I can pass it low, and my center is going to dunk it. To be honest, right? So it's just you create this community. You're creating diversification. You're creating essentially increase value to patients. We backfill offices and hire so we don't have any single point of failure. So
Hmm.
we build in redundancies and ultimately we're able to take care of our people better, right? Because when we're able to do those things and grow these practices, there's revenues to take care of the people. And if the people are taken care of and we align incentives, then they're happy. And
Yeah.
that's important. And we got to really take care of the people that work with us.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'd love, Justin, if you could share a bit about go a little bit further into that process of scaling, from your first opening up your own practice to, hiring more employees. Were there what were some of the challenges you had in jumping past and, giving more responsibility to people so you can focus working on the business?
Yeah, I think a lot of it really just comes down to humility. A lot of times, like, and I was there, it was like, oh, well, nobody can do this the way I do it. So you have to have that. I think ultimately it's becoming a better leader of people. So they have
Hmm.
to start with humility and go, there's probably people that can even do this way better than I can do it. And so I think that's the starting point. It's training systems. Training systems are vital. If you don't train your people, they don't know what to do. And if they don't know what to do, they're not going to be effective. I'm a huge proponent of training, have training systems. Training isn't something people like on board do. Oh, I completed my training. Training is something that has to happen all the time. I mean, I'm a CrossFitter. If I want to be fit, I have to keep training. If I don't keep training, I'm not going to be very fit, right? Like my body doesn't care what I did a year ago. It cares what I'm doing today. So your business is the same. Everybody has to be continually trained and up leveled and skilled, right? Like I ask people all the time, hey, what's one skill you have that's being underutilized? What's something you're either great at or passionate about or want to learn that would have a significant contribution towards our mission? People come up with some stuff, right? And so all of a sudden you've got more design work being done. You've got people using AI. You've got better comp structures. You've got, whatever it is. I mean, so there's lots of ways to really kind of become better leader for your team. The next piece I would say is, I mean, you need to have standard operating procedures. And the thing about those is that they do change, right? They change all the time. So when you
Yeah.
learn how to do something better, like you change it, you up level it. So that's it. I mean, tech stack is a tricky part for us right now. So we're tangled in our tech stack, and there's definitely opportunity for us to improve that. But just trying to utilize technology to the best of our ability and really getting the team to use AI as much as possible. I know that's something you're passionate about as well, Pete, is
Hmm.
really kind of getting people to understand the use cases, right? People don't use it because they're scared of it or whatever their story is around it. But once they kind of understand it, you can't not use it, right? It's just like either use or get left behind. So ultimately, getting the team to like really adopt adopt that and making that the culture. I think as a leader, you got to be a culture driver.
Mm.
As you get bigger, it's easy to lose kind of the essence, the brand of the business. So I think that's key. Meeting rhythms, like we follow EOS, and that's
Mhm.
been a big part of our growth is following the entrepreneur operating system and some of the principles that we've learned through traction and getting our meeting rhythms, weekly, same page meetings with our leadership team. Certainly, we
Mm.
have monthly meetings with our clinic directors. We have quarterly meetings. So each of our clinics has quarterly meetings, and they're clear on clarity is a gift, right? Clarity is kindness. So getting clarity around, hey, where are we going? Why are we going there? And what's your role in getting us there? And
Mm.
if people have that, you're going to probably be a lot more effective. You're probably going to get there a lot faster. If you don't know that, if the employees don't know that, if the team isn't aligned, they're probably clocking in or checking
Yeah.
out. So it's really a matter of kind of getting everybody rallied around the vision, get them clear on what their contribution is towards that vision, and then having some level of accountability towards making sure we're hitting the mark, under not necessarily like a pressureful environment, but an environment of encouragement and support and pressure if necessary. And then
Yeah.
being able to let people go if it just doesn't fit them. People in my industry keep people way too long. We try
Mm.
people, we think we can fix them because we're like, kind of this idea of this white knight, syndrome. Like we'll help them, we'll grow them, and then like it's just not a fit. They're just not the right person for that seat. So we'll tend to carry like dead weight way too long, and it drags
Mm.
down the company. So just being okay releasing people. Necessary Endings was a great book I read that really helped me to realize that people that aren't a good fit for our company are a great fit for other companies. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's a bad fit. Any of the people that we kind of grumble about, well, who hired them? Well, I did. So it's my
Yeah.
fault. And who trained them? Well, I did, and or my team did. So I'm going to look at where's the gap, what's the problem, and then just constantly creating a compelling future. People need to have a compelling future. If they don't know where they're going, they're not interested, right? They're going to go
Yeah.
find somebody who's got a more inspiring vision with a compelling future that they can see themselves in. And so I think that's really the piece. So all these things are really around
Yeah.
people. I don't know if you heard that,
Yeah.
but that's the common
Yeah.
thread is really people and leadership,
True.
and that allows for scaling.
Yeah. Wow. So many good nuggets in there, that answer. Thank you, Justin. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That team element, you actually mentioned it earlier, but it just comes through and, as you talk, you can see how important it is at every single step to emphasize the people on your team, right?
It's really everything. I mean, I always say we're as strong as our people.
Oh, I
We're a
love it.
people organization that take care of people. And so yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's us attracting super high quality people of high character and high vision alignment. So if we have, high character people with high vision alignment, so vision and values, right? What are the vision and values? If they're both high, that's going to be a really strong addition to the collective. If they're high character but sort of low as far as their competence on how to grow, then we can help them. We can serve them. If they're low character, we can't help them. That's just a bad fit. If the values don't align, if we fundamentally don't have the same belief systems around what we do, why we do it, why it's important, then it's going to be a lot of friction and a lot of stress
Mhm.
that is going to slow us down, especially at the pace that we're at right now.
Got it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and you mentioned technology is a big element too. I imagine you're uniquely positioned to start implementing technology since you have started a tech company before, right? You're involved with iHelp Moms.
Yeah, I help
You-
moms. Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife runs iHelp Moms. I had, some involvement with the investor relations, but outside of that, yeah, my wife runs this incredible app called iHelpMoms.com. Check it out, especially if you have kids 0 to 10. It's a very cool app. Actually, yeah. So she's been running that desktop. It's in the Apple Store. Should be approved this week. So if
Okay.
you're listening to this, you got to go. Please download iHelpMoms.com free. free download and support Michelle Brown, incredible lady. But yeah, her story is incredible. I mean, she was an orphan and got adopted by. She's from India. She was so born in the slums of Calcutta, India. And so if you know anything about that, she had zero future, but ultimately got adopted and so was given kind of a second lease on life. And so what her own experience in having our first daughter wasn't what she envisioned and needed a lot of help around the clock and essentially realized that, most people can't afford that or just don't have access to that. And so she created this app that basically gives you access to all these specific experts that can help with potty training and breastfeeding and sleep training and all these important things to make a healthy, thriving baby, grow and thrive into a toddler and then, ultimately into a healthy child. So, yeah, it's a very cool app. You got to check that out. But yeah, technology is, I mean, obviously just integral to any of our businesses anymore. I don't think that you can run a super high scalable business without having a strong technology component. And so
Yeah.
technology, we run electronic health records. We have certainly CRMs, client relationship management software. We have marketing software. We have certainly our websites and our landing pages and Facebook integration and Meta ads and Google ads and AI, all sorts of things
Yeah.
happening on the back end. So yeah, we also have platforms we run our SOPs off of and those type of things. Obviously, many of us are on Zoom all day, so technology is really integrated inside of our day to day. It's interwoven within our communication systems, all the things that are necessary to operate our business and keep things moving in the right direction. Technology is a big piece of it. It's really a matter of how can we reduce the number of tabs that are open and improve the focus, which
Yeah.
then increases our ability to be effective. So getting integration is a big deal now. So we're constantly looking at, okay, our AI auto attendant, right? How's our AI auto attendant speaking into our online scheduling, which is speaking into our electronic health records, which is speaking to our reporting systems. So you can see how this starts to get pretty convoluted pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. A lot of noise.
Yeah, yeah. So, technology is great. It's just, a matter of getting it to all work together, right?
Right.
So that
Yeah.
that that's something we're working on, Pete, and it's evolving, right? I mean, tech has changed drastically in the last 12 months, 24 months. So, yeah, I mean, it's constantly evolving and AI's infiltrating every single system at this point. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I'm kind of curious how you're implementing AI yourself with your systems and your business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'm not surprised at all to hear it's really at every part of your business. I think it's required no matter what business it is. It's a perfect example because yours is a service-based business and still is heavily reliant on technology on all the back end. Yeah, I use it every day, hours a day. I'm on Perplexity's browser comment right now. I engage it to generate ideas, to bounce things off of, to help me draft things. Yeah, it's become a really just makes you a better, able to do a lot more for
100%.
every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just an effectiveness tool, right? Like it's an efficiency tool, it's an effectiveness tool. And yeah, that's really interesting. I'd love to learn more about how some of the use cases and I haven't dove into Perplexity too much yet, but I've got a combo of Chat, Grok, and Manus rolling right
nice.
now. But it's just trying to find what's the best platform for use cases and then to potentially even get them to work together, right? So that's another idea is like, how do you sort of get these all to work together? Actually, we're using Claude and Plod. I know Plod is another thing. So we are
Wow.
utilizing even our EHRs now, like listening to conversations, taking notes for us, and that type of thing. So yeah, it's a wild west in AI. It's very interesting and fascinating time. It's a wonderful time to be alive. That's for sure.
100%. Yes. Yeah. And the use cases just keep on growing, like the more you use it, the more you realize other things that you can start using it for that'll just make everything more efficient, less
Exactly.
mistakes. And yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed with the amount of tools available. I already, yeah, there's several subscriptions that you end up paying for just because it increases your output by so much, right?
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when people's AI spend almost, like is like a salary, right? Like it'll be a sal, and maybe that's already, I'm sure that's happening. Especially as you get into agents and you get into all these other like pieces that, require credits and that kind of thing. It'll be almost like a line item, which is just like your AI employees. Like
Yeah,
it's who never stop working, right?
right.
It's just constantly going. So that'll be
Yeah,
interesting. I haven't really dove into that side of things. It's mostly a lot of like idea efficiencies, pro forma spreadsheet, deal analysis, marketing ideas, even some integration with Canva, those type of things is a lot of our use cases. But like we even, I was building out this, structure, this comp structure, that is really going to be critical for us as we scale. And it's like just to be able to plug that in. I've used a lot with real estate because we have real estate as well, and it's like it's amazing the outputs and the time, that you're creating amortization schedules, you're building in deal scenarios. Like you can just your output is just remarkably better when we're utilizing this. I mean, even looking at financial analysis, plugging in balance sheets and P&Ls, it's just like
right.
the amount of analysis and the speed of analysis, especially in like due diligence, it's fascinating. It can really shorten the time frame necessary to kind of crack into all these things. But at that said, like you got to know your stuff. If you don't know your
Yeah, of
stuff, AI
course.
is actually a tool that people are going to get exposed with. Because people, what'll happen is, and Pete, I know we're going to need to wrap up, but it's interesting because people
Yeah,
start AIing each other. And so the AIing back and forth, what I found can actually slow deal flow to a halt because everybody thinks their AI is so brilliant, right? Oh, my AI is the best, right? Or my AI is the best. So you got AI can like negotiating or competing against AI, and then there's no middle ground, and then they don't, the parties may not even really understand what they're talking about. And
right.
so in the end, what happens is you get to this stalemate because AI doesn't necessarily have context. So if AI doesn't have context, or if it has bad information, which I know everything on the internet's
Mhm.
accurate, right? But if it's getting bad information, right, bad input, then it's
Yeah,
going to kick out bad output. And so sometimes what AI is generating versus reality, like what's real, can be different, like significantly
absolutely.
different. And I found it where even in calculations, it's been inaccurate. I've found like if you don't double check it or kind of really know the topic you're diving into, that it can put out wrong information. So I
Yeah.
think that if you really know your topic, if you really understand your inputs and you put in like very highly detailed prompts, that you can really get some tremendous output, and it's a tremendous efficiency tool. It'll just be interesting to see when, all the AIs are all just working against each other essentially, and it's just hard to gain any true traction when you've just got bots competing against each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I agree with everything you just said. Right now, at least you need a professional to keep AI within the rails as you research and draw conclusions.
Exactly.
We'll see where it goes, right? They say we're only between the second and third base if it was like a baseball field in terms of AI progression. So, like, we're not even halfway through its total cycle of getting development.
Wow. I would be surprised if we were even at first base.
Yeah, yeah. People say different things.
Yeah. I guess the rate upon it's just exponential learning. So the learning is compounding.
Yeah,
Amounts of the inputs compounding, the users are compounding, the data is compounding. So yeah, it's really fascinating to see where we'll be come, 2030.
definitely. All right, Justin, I know we're actually right on time here, so want to be respectful of your time. I loved all of the inputs you gave, incredible takeaways. I just want to give you the floor, any last words, and where can listeners find you easiest?
Yeah, so listeners can find me at Instagram at Dr. Justin Brown, certainly LinkedIn, again, Justin Brown, Serve Bigger Collective. If you want to email Dr. Brown at Family Spinal Care or servebigger at gmail.com, website servebigger.com. So yeah, certainly welcome to interaction, engagement. Yeah, especially if you're, a prospect, maybe in the chiropractic industry, if you're hearing this and you want to connect, we have a lead form right at servebigger.com. And yeah, we'd like to connect. And yeah, we got this big vision of really taking our product to the masses and really up leveling our impact. So I appreciate Pete. This was awesome. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm looking forward to reconnecting with you on our next mastermind.
Absolutely. Dr. Brown, thanks you for joining the show. It was awesome.